Well, a promise is a promise, and I said I would tell a story, so here we are. I'm not going to tell a long story because I have to get home and my battery is dying. And although I'm pretty sure I know how to get home, I don't want to have to figure that out, so I'd rather just use GPS and know where I'm going. All right, so getting right to it. When I was in middle school, I used to hang out with we'll use fake names here. Not that we really need to, but let's say I used to hang out with this guy named Ren. We're gonna call him Ren. And at that time, I was close in age with my stepsister. A little FYI, she's passed away. We don't need to get into it right now. You'll learn that about me later. But she's passed away now. But we were always close in age, and so me, Ren, and my stepsister, one day we decided to hang out with Ren, and this was after school. I'm laughing at the name that I chose, but this was after school, and so once we got out, I don't know however long it was. This is middle school. We decided to go hang out in the woods. We spent a lot of time going in the woods as kids, and I think most kids spend a lot of time in the woods. Well, I guess depending on where you grow up. But where I grew up was the suburbs, and we had woods, neighborhoods, and all that stuff going on. But the woods is a place where we hung out a lot. We would build forts, we would play paintball, we would ride dirt bikes, look for frogs and other animals or whatever you want to call it, insects. So on this very day after school, my stepsister, let's say, well, we can use her real name. My stepsister Britt and Ren. So me, Britt, and Ren, we hang out. We go over, me and my stepsister Brittany. We go over his house, and he's got this great big forest in the back of his house. Not really a forest, but woods. And so, to give you a little context on Ren was kind of crazy. He was just a big goofball. He was just the kind of person, like, he had this kind of pumpkin pie haircut. You know what I mean? Like how do I explain it? Like this, just like the Three Stooges or something. Like he had one of those bowl cuts, and he would just do anything to make you laugh. He'd cross his eyes, he'd flip his eyelids in, you know, when people do that sort of thing, which is kind of gross. But he would do all types of crazy stuff. I mean, like put pencils in his mouth. Like he was doing just like the weirdest off the wall crap to get a laugh. He was just like the class clown, basically. And so we were always tight through school, and we would hang out here and there, but that's just to give you a little context on the type of person he was. Like, I can't really go into detail or mimic how he was. It's been years now, but just know that he was the kid that would chew on things or do the most absurd thing, jump on the phone, like the school phone, and he would do this. This I thought was funny. He'd grab the phone, he'd be like, I forget what the restaurant he would call it, but he'd be like, this is such and such, you kill it, we grill it. Just like stuff like that. And he had the galls to get up and grab like whichever phone and whichever class he was in and do stuff like that. He just went on impulse. That's the type of guy Ren is. So anyway, we all agree to hang out. Ren, you know, like I said, he was a good friend of mine in school. So we go to the woods, and in the woods, like right behind his house, not far off from his house, he has this great big fort that he built. I mean, this thing was immaculate. Like big trees, big sections of plywood. I'm talking like at least 15 feet high off the air. Like high off the air, high from the ground. At least 15 feet from the ground. I kid you not. It had to have been. If not, it was a couple feet smaller, but I'm telling you, it was like 15 feet. And with this fort, so to give you a visual, it was like you had, I think it was 4 tree posts. So just like a square, you had it, and in the middle, like there was a downstairs, and I don't think there were steps inside of it. I think we had a ladder going up to the top. But when you walk through so it was like a bottom floor and a top floor. But the bottom floor was just dirt, there was no plywood, only on the sides. And also, picture this. So you have this encased box, if you will, more like a rectangle. And it had maybe one, two, I think it had 3 windows cut out just like you would, but no glass. And the roof was tarp. So we had a tarp that we would run from one side to the other side just to keep it from not deteriorating from rain or other stuff or other debris, just to try and keep it nice. But yeah, this is a fort that his brother, I believe his sister had all built, which there might have been some other kids that helped build this fort. But anyway, so yeah, just to give you the visual, it was like a dirt floor. Like, so this was the bottom floor. In the center of this setup, there was a table. Yeah, there was a table off to the side, and then there was like a pit where you could have a fire, actually. And it was tall enough to where it wouldn't disturb the upper floor, because the middle floor did have plywood underneath of it, because when you're on the top floor, you have to be able to, walk around and whatnot. So we wanted like a fully functioning fort, or they wanted one, I should say, because they're the ones that built it. So picture that again, just to sum it up. You have your 4 tree posts, goes up with plywood. You got 3 windows in the center of the bottom floor, which is the dirt floor. You got a bonfire, and then you got a table off to the side. And then actually, I think we had like a couch too as well, so you could have more people sit. Anyway, so he had this ladder that went up, and that's how we would get to the top. And on rainy days, we would hang out, inside of the thing. But on days that it was nice, we would hang out on the top floor. So it was only 2 sections. So I distinctively remember coming over. It was, like any other day. I think it was like a spring day or whatever. And we go up onto the roof. It's just the 3 of us sitting there hanging out. I think his sister ended up coming out, so maybe the 4 of us. We're hanging out on the top deck, and there's a table up there as well. But the table up there, it's not a good table, not like the one below. And I didn't describe the one below, but the one that's downstairs is like a wooden solid table, and the chairs were even solid too. But upstairs, it had this, those like white plastic tables. So it was like one of them, and then like, those like real flimsy garbage plastic chairs that people, they'll get for whatever reasons. They can't go back or anything. They're real flimsy. Like, you could crack one like easily if you just like tossed it aside. Very flimsy, just trash furniture basically. Good for outside stuff though. Think patio, right? Think cheap patio furniture. That's basically what this was. I think everybody can understand or visualize what these white chairs would have looked like. Again, flimsy plastic. So anyway, we're up top hanging out. I think we're playing cards or something, and we're joking around. We're having a good time. I just remember looking at John. He's crossing his eyes like this. He's like making the goofiest faces. My stepsister's up there's laughing, having a good time. His sister's cracking jokes, because him and his sister were a lot alike. They shared the same humor. They'd make the same type of jokes. She was just older. That was the only difference, really. And he's doing all the 90s kind of funny things. He's doing like the Jim Carrey class things like this. He's doing that. He's picking his nose. He's just doing all types of things to make you laugh. He's the class clown. He's the class clown in school or outside of school. So it doesn't matter. This is just the way that Ren is. So we're laughing. I'm laughing hysterically at this point. I get up to do something. I think maybe we had drinks or something. That's all. Not like alcoholic beverages, but I think we had like a cooler up there, and we had like soda pop. Yeah, I'm calling it soda pop. And we had like juices and snacks and things like that. Well, I get up to get a snack, and before I go further, let me just explain this. So when you're up on the top deck, it's nothing like the bottom floor. It's maybe 7 feet in length and maybe 5 feet across. That's it. There's no railings, nothing. So keep that in mind. And the floor is plywood, and it's quite flimsy. Not real flimsy, but it's flimsy enough. It's plywood. So I get up to get a snack, and I go and I get my stuff, and when I get up, I'm kind of where I'm positioned before I get up. My chair is kind of close to the edge, but I didn't know that. I failed to realize that. So when I get up, I don't look behind me or anything. The chair doesn't make a sound to make me think that it moved from its position. So I'm just looking forward. I'm laughing at what Ren's saying. I'm laughing at what his sister's saying. And I get my stuff. I'm not even looking when I sit back down. And this is something that I've done, I don't know, a handful of times by this point. Being on the top deck, I have sat up there plenty of times, just bull crap, just hung out, whatever. But on this very day, I'm backing up, I'm looking at Ren, I'm laughing. His sister's got me laughing. My sister's there, she's laughing. And I don't look where I sit, but I do connect with my chair. So I sit down, and within the second that I sit down, I lean back, just instinctively. When you sit down in a chair, even if you're not going to lean all the way back, you're going to lean back. Like, it's just like, it's just what happens when you sit in a chair. So I sit in this chair, and without thinking, I lean back. And as soon as I lean back, the chair, when I lean back, the chair falls off the edge. And before I get into what happened when I fell, the chair leg was hanging off the edge. But when I got up, I didn't realize it scooted that far back. So with all my momentum, I just sit in the chair like this, no hesitation. I fly back. All of a sudden, I'm looking up at the sky. And boom, I hit the ground so hard, it knocks the wind out of me. I can't breathe. I'm disoriented because, for one, I'm in shock. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And then I can't breathe on top of it. And they're still laughing. And they definitely stopped for a minute there. But I hopped up, so it was like the loudest thud. And I couldn't breathe at all. I could not breathe. But I jumped up so quick, and as soon as I jump up, I'm like, trying to breathe. It makes me cough just doing it right now. But I remember in my mind so vividly, at that point, they knew it was serious. They had jumped off the top. I don't know how they got down so fast. I remember looking at Ren and looking at Brittany, and I'm making eye contact with them, and it's like I'm choking. It's like I'm drowning. I can't breathe at all. I'm like, I got my hand around my throat. I can't communicate. It was the scariest, most traumatic thing ever, because I'm looking at these guys and I can't make a noise. I can't talk. I can't speak. So I'm just trying to gasp for air. And the entire time I'm hunched over, like in the position of like when I fell, because I felt like I broke my back. That's how hard. I mean, imagine falling 10 to 15 feet in the sitting position without bracing yourself because you're not ready for it. And then you fall and you smack the ground like that. I mean, I hit the ground like a lead pipe. It was so gosh darn hard. I mean, literally, I couldn't breathe for what felt like 30 seconds. And I know it probably wasn't, but it felt that long. And all they could do was look at me. Like, they just stared at me because I think they were in shock. So I'm looking at them. You know, it's kind of one of those things where you're like, how bad is it? And as I'm looking at them, they're kind of more wide-eyed. So they're looking back at me like, and then I guess they just couldn't contain it because maybe the way that I fell, but they were laughing. I was not laughing at this point, and I don't blame them. I think they took it serious. But I understand when something happens and it may be serious, but because of all the momentum of laughter that was going on, it's kind of hard to like control that, you know what I mean? And then some people laugh just for different, different reasons, just because of like they're in shock. They're in disbelief of what happened. And I think that's why I got that reaction. But they were definitely like there for me. Like I remember like Ren kind of grabbing me and being like, I don't remember if he said, dude, are you all right? But I don't know. I know a lot of people don't find you attractive. Wait, what? What are you talking about? Gloria Push Fonte. I have no idea what you're talking about. If you're trolling, that's cool. Anyway, whatever. I don't care. But where was I? So, I mean, he was there. He was at my aid to like, to help me. He was a friend. Like I said, but I just was staring at him like, I can't breathe. Only I couldn't say anything. And like I said, the whole time I'm hunched over because I felt like I literally broke my back. And I think after that I had a pretty wicked headache. But yeah, that was my story with hanging out with Ren. That was one of my stories. And falling off this tree fort and eating shiitake. It was probably one of the worst times that I've ever gotten the wind knocked out of me. And I've gotten the wind knocked out of me a good handful of times, just growing up, being like a skateboarder or just being a boy and playing, being rough and whatnot. So yeah, that's how that went. Luckily, I didn't fracture any ribs. I didn't break my back in any way. I didn't, crack my tailbone or anything or crack my head open. Luckily, I don't know how, but somehow when I hit, I guess I didn't hit my head, but it was pretty serious, I think what also helped was me falling off and falling on like a dirt floor or dirt ground. If it was concrete, I probably may or may not be here today. I mean, it was that bad. But yeah, it was a very insane situation. I'm glad that I was okay, but it could have been very serious. And that was the time that, I fell out of a tree fort. Yep. Anywho, I gotta get on with this. I've got not much battery left and I gotta get home. And I just finished dashing and it's 11:40 right now. And honestly, I wanted to be home by 11, but it is what it is. I chose to stay out and make some more money. And I could have gone home right after I was done, but also I wanted to tell this story because, I just thought about it and I was like, you know what? Why not? It's not really like a YouTube video story. I didn't think it was long enough to tell it, although I kind of, made it longer. But yeah, that was my story of me falling out of a tree fort and it hurt like hell. I probably could have died. So I consider myself very lucky. But this happened eons ago. I was in middle school. Maybe that's why also. I was probably like 50 pounds then. I was like 11, maybe 12 years old when this happened. But okay, I'm gonna give this like one memento. I don't mean one moment, although that's what that means. More like 1 minute. And if you guys want to ask me anything, that's cool. But if not, I'm gonna skedaddle on out of here and get home. And look, this is when I know it's time to get home. 0% battery on my travel charger. Can you sing a song? What would you like me to sing? Actually, I do like to sing sometimes. I'm more of like a songwriter, but most people don't know that. I'm actually kind of working on something behind the scenes. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what I do with it. I have a producer that is willing to make beats and stuff for me and whatnot, but I don't know. I don't want to give away too much and just other stuff that I'm doing. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see if that comes into fruition in the near future. But I always write lyrics. You know, I'm always writing something. If I'm not writing a video, I'm writing lyrics. I'm writing something. It's just how I am. All right, guys. I think that about does it. 60 seconds is pretty much rounding up now. So, you know, I said I would stick around for another minute. Checking my invisible watch here, and it says it's time to go. No, but really, yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one.